Thank you very much, Nick. Peter, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is indeed my great pleasure to join you all at this evening's Lion Rock Institute Economic Freedom of the World annual dinner, a special occasion where we get together to celebrate that utopian concept that we so aspire to reach, and to affirm also the power of the free market that sustains the miracle of the world's freest economy, the miracle of Hong Kong. The open secret behind the remarkable rise as well as the continuing success of our own home economy is, according to the words of the Lion Rock Institute, our passionate and firm belief of that potential of the individual and free market values. Yes, we do take pride in our achievements in realizing and safeguarding economic freedom. We do take pride in Hong Kong's own brand of economic success, which is quite unlike the fabrication sort of neighboring pretenders. So it is immensely satisfying to learn that with our collective efforts to promote economic freedom continuing to be recognized by a raft of like-minded international institutions, we are remaining on the right track. Earlier this year, the Washington-based Heritage Foundation named Hong Kong the world's freest economy for the 21st year in a row. And in September, Hong Kong topped the annual Economic Freedom of the World report published by the Cato Institute and the Vancouver-based Fraser Institute. Hong Kong has done so, by the way, as Fred has mentioned, every year since the report first came out in 1996. So it is great, as always, to welcome Fred back again to this evening's gathering. Fred is, of course, as you know, the representative of the Fraser Institute, and thank you for your Institute's appreciation and recognition of our hard work and persistent adherence in upholding free market principles. As Financial Secretary, I can tell you, it is a great honor to top that list during my watch. But it is not an easy task, as Fred has also mentioned in one of his slides, to stay on top year after year. There are just so many temptations for us to take the easy route to get on the populist freeway. And that's why it requires a continuing and steadfast commitment to free market principles from everyone concerned in our community to fortify that achievement and resist going to the dark side. Indeed, Hong Kong's free market philosophy has been the foundation stone in the formulation of our public policies, in the sustainability of our economic stability and prosperity, and in the well-being of the Hong Kong society at large. We keep government intervention in the economy to the minimum. Only when the market fails to operate properly in very special circumstances will the government exert its influence. Individuals and companies in Hong Kong are free to engage in economic activities of their own choosing and to realize rewards based on their efforts, based on their ability, and perhaps on some occasions, their luck of the draw. In Hong Kong, it is the invisible hand of the market which allocates the valuable finite resources and picks the rightful winners. It is even more important now than ever to allow the market to run the entire gamut, because businesses today are facing unprecedented challenges from the competitors from every corner of the earth in the increasingly globalized and interconnected world economy. The potential customers and competitors alike are all just a click of the mouse away. In order to remain competitive, businesses need to adjust swiftly and flexibly, maximizing the efficiency according to market principles in attaining their hard-earned income. We are working diligently too to ensure that practices in Hong Kong continue to align with the spirit of economic freedom and the well-tested free market principles. And in the next few minutes, let me share with you how we are faring on the various fronts, or to be exact, in the 5 areas which Fred has mentioned, which the Friedrich Institute employs to measure the extent of freedom of an economy. And they are, I'll repeat, the size of government, legal system and property rights, regulations, freedom to trade internationally, and access to sound money. Let me begin with the size of government. I'm happy to say that Hong Kong ranks first in this area in the Institute's 2015 report on economic freedom. I always believe, personally, that the private sector, with its flexibility and knowledge of the market, would be way smarter than the public sector when it comes to the allocation of scarce resources. They should be able to make more effective as well as efficient use of the limited resources that are available. I always consider also that governments should take only what they need to maintain the essential services and to develop the major infrastructure that would help sustain and facilitate the long-term growth of the economy. Maintaining a small public sector allows us to sustain a simple and low-tax regime. According to the study, Paying Taxes 2015, undertaken by PwC for the World Bank on the ease of paying taxes, Hong Kong ranked 4th in the world among 189 economies, with Singapore coming in 5th. With our maximum salaries tax set at 15% and our profits tax rate at a flat 16.5%, the total tax rate they have estimated for Hong Kong stood at 22.8%, as compared with the world average of 40.9%. It took 78 hours, according to the study, for the Hong Kong company to file all the necessary tax returns. The world average was 264 hours. I'm a little surprised that it takes more than 3 whole days for Hong Kong companies to file the tax return, even though it's still very low compared with the world average. It usually takes me almost 5 minutes to do mine every year. But perhaps that has to do with my income. After we have collected all the taxes from your good selves, and thank you very much, government will spend no more than 20% of our GDP to provide the community with the necessary services, leaving the great majority of our gross domestic product, some 80%, to the private sector to undertake initiatives in fulfilling their aspirations and visions. In fact, it is explicitly promulgated in the Basic Law that we have to keep our budget commensurate with economic growth while keeping a low tax regime. In light of our commitment to a low tax regime, we need to maintain the straightest fiscal discipline in government's expenditure and in planning for our economic future. We have witnessed the hard lessons learned from the bitter experience of the many advanced economies that high public debt means relegation of the burden to future generations and truncating their freedom to consume. It means forcing them to be frugal in order to repay the debt accumulated by previous generations. To date, our fiscal position remains healthy. We have been able to have surpluses every year during my term as financial secretary so far, and we are virtually debt-free. But that, however, will become an increasingly difficult plank to hold given our enhanced spending and rapidly aging population. As the baby boomers get older and our labor force becomes smaller, the problem will become more apparent. In fact, our labor force will start declining from 2018 very soon, dampening our economic vibrancy. No less of a concern, the aging population will drive up demand for health care as well as social welfare, challenging our long-term fiscal outlook. So we need to plan ahead in order to help alleviate or simply to lessen the pressure on our future generations. We need to put in place measures to contain the growth of expenditure. We need to ensure that we can achieve value for money in our spending. We need to conduct fiscal sustainability assessments on new major initiatives. We need to seek better returns from longer-term investments of our resources. We need to put in place all these initiatives and move to secure a firmer foundation on which future generations can operate. The second area of assessment is the rule of law, another indispensable building block of our sustained success. Our legal structure provides a rather robust framework of protection for all the entities in Hong Kong. And these laws, which are constantly under review to ensure that they serve their intended purposes amid changing circumstances, have been rather effectively enforced by relevant government agencies. And to uphold the rule of law, it is equally important that the judiciary remains independent of the other branches of government. And that is exactly the guarantee enshrined in the Basic Law and jealously guarded in Hong Kong. The rule of law, as you are all aware, is also fearlessly and rigorously protected by our hugely vocal media, local and international. The regulation of credit, labor, and business is the next area of consideration. This is another aspect that Hong Kong ranks first in the Institute's 2015 report. We are proud to have a transparent, fair, and predictable regulatory regime. All persons, businesses, and organizations, regardless of their nationality, are treated exactly the same. Every business in Hong Kong can enjoy the same privilege. They can enjoy the same benefits provided by our international agreements. On the other hand, we are constantly reviewing our regulations with a view to reducing unnecessary red tape and eliminating outdated and spent processes. That serves to enhance our efficiency and reduce compliance costs for our business. We are also constantly searching for ways to further improve the business environment in Hong Kong. I believe that government does have an important role to play as market facilitator in maintaining a favorable business environment and ensuring the operation of a level playing field for everyone in our markets. I know some of you fundamentalists, Peter, out there would take issue with that, but that's fine. Nobody's perfect. Another key area is freedom to trade. As a free port and an open market, we are naturally a staunch supporter of free trade. We impose zero tariffs and no tariff barriers. I was surprised to learn from Fred that we have problems with non-tariff barriers, and certainly Helen will look into that. Traders in all sectors and from all jurisdictions can trade freely here in Hong Kong. That makes us one of the largest trading economies in the world, according to the WTO. Hong Kong also actively participates in various international forums to expound on the benefits of free trade and to explore trade-enabling initiatives with other economies. Our status as one of the world's best trading platforms is clearly recognized. Hong Kong offers also unparalleled connectivity for multilateral businesses, of multinational businesses and corporations. We're within 5 hours flying time of half the world's population. And each day, some 1,100 flights arrive at and depart from Hong Kong. And we have one of the finest international airports in the world. According to the latest data released just last week, the number of business operations in Hong Kong with parent companies overseas and in the mainland has climbed to a new record of some 8,000 in 2015, an increase of over 4% year on year. And together with free trade is the free flow of capital. Our external trade is equivalent to more than 4 times our GDP. And the massive flow of funds through Hong Kong day in and day out fuels a wide spectrum of financial activities. As the UN World Investment Report 2015 suggests, Hong Kong for the first time came second in global foreign direct investment, with record amounts of inflows and outflows at $103 billion US dollars and $143 billion US dollars respectively. On this note, it helps enormously to maintain a simple, credible, and transparent monetary regime. Our link exchange rate system has stood the test of time, having been in place and working effectively for Hong Kong since October 1983. I value highly the hard-earned credibility of our monetary system. Clearly, free market principles have served Hong Kong well, and they will continue to do so. But for the Hong Kong economy to reach new heights, we must continue to seize fresh opportunities. Opportunities that I have in mind don't get any fresher, any larger or more promising than the visionary and ambitious concept of the Silk Road Economic Belt and the 21st Century Maritime Silk Road, or the Belt and Road Initiative, spearheaded by President Xi in 2013. Created with connectivity at its heart, this grand and far-reaching scheme seeks to enhance ties in infrastructure, in trade and investment, in culture and more, among some 60-plus economies spanning Asia, Europe, as well as Africa. More importantly, the initiative presents the world with an abundance of business opportunities in an unprecedented way. And I think it has all it takes to become the much-needed driving force of the lackluster world economy in this 21st century. Under the initiative, we envisage soaring infrastructure investment, deepening financial integration, expanding trade flows, and growing people-to-people bonds. Hong Kong, with our unique advantages under the One Country, Two Systems framework, has all it takes, from our world-class market infrastructure and professionals to the robust legal system and the unparalleled business network, to play a central role in delivering fully the enormous possibilities presented by the Belt and Road Initiative. We shall do all we can to fast-track the future that we see in the Belt and Road Initiative through our efforts on the G2G level in promoting closer ties and deeper understanding with potential partner economies along the Belt and Road, in particular, those emerging economies that dominate the landscape. We shall also step up our efforts in signing bilateral agreements with economies to expand trade and investment flows, while helping Hong Kong companies better understand the economic realities and regulatory requirements in these new markets. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's actually a pretty long way for me to say that government will remain a passionate supporter of free trade principles. That's exactly all I wanted to say, which are the Lion Rock Institute principles. And as Nelson Mandela once said, action without vision is only passing time. Vision without action is merely daydreaming. But vision with action can change the world. We have the vision, a vision that we share, a vision that requires us to safeguard our core values, to sustain our effective policies, and to preserve our unswerving commitment to free market principles for long-term benefits that can be enjoyed by you, by me, by our children, grandchildren, by Hong Kong. Finally, I wish you all the best of business in the coming year, and may the force of the free market be with you. Thank you.
If you could stay. We'd like to have a little toast. And first of all, John, thank you very much for that speech. Very, and with that finish, with the new Star Wars movie coming out, you're right on topic. Fantastic. You must be as excited as I am about it. We'd like to welcome now our other guest speaker today, Mr. Fred McMahon, our current chairman, Mr. Peter Wong, our past chairman, Bill Stacey, and all of our friends from the head table to come and join us on stage for a toast with our two guest speakers. If you could please come and join us. I hope our friends at the Harbor Grand are passing some drinks out. Hopefully you haven't finished yours during our presentations. There you go, Dan. Yeah, don't ruin the picture, Dan. And there we go. To my right, the other member of our board who has not gotten a mention in yet tonight is Dan Ryan, our legal eagle on the board of the Lion Rock Institute, who's recently moved to Australia and is now involved in founding a new organization there called Australian in Progress. Australian Institute of Progress. There we go. Thank you very much. And rare for me not to have a drink in my hand, but there it is. There we go. So once again, thank you very much to our guest speakers. Thank you to everyone for coming here. And a toast to freedom, freedom in Hong Kong, and the future of our great city. To freedom.
Freedom. Cheers. Cheers. Cheers.